And he's also a chemistry genius as well.
Wow,
He was actually making his own acid. That's
wow,
kind of part of the problem.
wow, 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 wow. That is really, really, that's really dangerous. I mean, I never went too far down that path because those horrible visions that he was having, I would have them during the trips. So I never associated huge amounts of pleasure to the experience. I always saw it as trial by crisis. You know, I had to go
Mm,
through it in order to have some kind of
mm.
a gnosis. It's never really worked. I think it gave me an ability to see things a little bit differently to other people, but it's not very effective as a means of enforcing any kind of enlightenment kind of thing. I don't know what this demons through the wall thing is. I used to get that all the time. It must be
Really?
yeah, it must be a byproduct of the acid. The very last time I took it was with a girl, and we had a group hallucination, we had a shared hallucination of the same thing. That a gateway to hell had opened in the wall, and there were demons coming through the leases.
Wow.
Yes, that was the last time. Yeah,
Shit.
I mean, I was drunk and I was smoking weed as well. Just
You were
wasn't.
drunk as well?
Yeah, and you really can't mix these things.
Yeah.
I think Timothy Leary proved though fairly well. I don't know how scientific it was, but that the environment you're in is hugely important when taking not just
Yeah.
acid but other hallucinogenic, um,
Hmm.
and the response can be determined by the social environment you're in. But yeah, it's dangerous, really, really dangerous stuff.
I think you've got to have a really strong personality to kind of carry it off. You've got to know yourself really well, and I think um, you really shouldn't take it till you're older. Starting at 12 like he did, it's just crazy.
I was 13, and I think the last time I did it, I was 20. I know synchronistically, 2 days later, I saw a piece of footage which I had never seen before or since, and it was with Alan Ginsberg, and he was saying, "Don't take it unless you've got 3 years grounding in Zen meditation." He said that,
Really?
yeah, he said or more. I think it may have been more. He said that a long grounding and years of Zen meditation, you mustn't take it because your projections will take it away.
Wow. I
Yeah,
was just reading about Robert Maplethorpe, the photographer. Don't know if you know of him.
no,
I'll send you some links. Yeah. Um, he was documenting the gay S&M scene in New York,
mm,
and he was like one of the first people to do that. But prior to that, he was an artist, and he got really, really into taking acid. And the experience you described, he was having that. He was sitting in front of the mirror,
mm.
looking at himself in the mirror, thinking that he was the devil
Yes, and
on a trip.
do you know what's interesting about this is Paulo Coelho had the same experience. Like he describes it in the book The Valkyries, and he had it as a result of misusing magic.
Magic.
Yeah, he was misusing magic, and then eventually he had a demonic attack that lasted like 2 or 3 days, and he was stuck in a hotel room. Mine only lasted as long as the trip, so after 8 hours it was gone, thank God.
Whew.
Um, and it really was like we were both after just going, thank God that stopped because it was awful. But yeah, Paulo Coelho described exactly the same thing. He was involved in the music industry, and he was putting satanic messages into Brazilian pop music.
He did what?
He put satanic messages into Brazilian pop music to make money.
Paulo Coelho did.
Paulo Coelho did. Not an awful lot of
No
people know that.
way.
Now you know something about Paulo Coelho. Yeah, he writes about it in either the Valkyries or I think it's in the Valkyrie. He admits it, and that he had an instant karmic blowback from that. Um, yes, I mean it's kind of I guess we're more in the mystical realm now, but there does seem to be certain laws of transgression that you can't you know, mess with. There is an effect on that.
Well, Robert Mapplethorpe got into the whole Satanism thing too.
Mm-hmm.
And he, in fact, decided that he wanted to utilize the Luciferian energy to project his career into greater heights.
Yeah.
It did work,
Mm.
but he died of AIDS. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I
And
mean, keep it white magic, baby, all the way. If it doesn't benefit me and the people around me, and isn't for the highest good of all concerned, I'm playing.
I think these archetypes or energies, whatever they are, whether they're real or whether they're just archetypal, there is a reason why people are attracted to them.
Yes.
But there's also a reason why it doesn't necessarily do as much good.
Yeah, I think I firmly believe, and I think every, not necessarily religious system, but mystical system around the world will tell you that any kind of magic where it affects the lives of the people comes at a cost, comes at a price. The old Wiccan system, they would say it was the price was, would be measured in terms of 1 to 5. So you would, whatever you got, you pay back 500%, which is a really crap deal. I mean, it's like Faust living a really cool life for 20 years, but then at the end of it, it's going to be tortured and held for eternity. That's not a good deal.
No, it's really not a good deal, is it?
But I certainly had the feeling after the experience, like I'd been spanked, like I'd been naughty, and I'd been spanked, and I was warned, and it's like, don't do that again. And I was like, oh, okay, I won't do that, and I haven't since. I think I got a pass that one time, and that's it.
And you managed to come back with your marbles intact, which is important.
Relatively, some would argue perhaps not, but relatively intact. But I actually did, during that period, I was getting Zen meditation training in, not they weren't related, it was part of my aikido training down in Birkenhead with Terry Ezra, really good aikido instructor in there, and I think that helped a lot.
Yeah, oh, that's good. He's really good, I think. I've been to his Zen meditation classes too. Yeah.
Oh, cool. You probably had a numb bum, within meters of where I had a numb bum.
Probably.
It's the most leg-numbing experience in the world, isn't it?
Yeah, so getting back to the aggression then, where we started.
Away from demons and mysticism and drugs, yeah.
Yeah. Do you think that human beings are naturally aggressive? Because this is kind of a controversial.
I think it's undeniable.
Question.
I think, your eyes are on the front of your head, which shows that you're a predator. You're forward-looking, not on the side, like a prey. You have incisors, which are hooked. Your nails, even though they're useless for fighting with, are hooked for catching and tearing at flesh. So yes, we are instinctively aggressive, but like the ancient Greeks, I think, were very, very keen on being. You've got to cultivate the higher levels of your personality and not suppress the animal, but let the animal levels go. And I think actually the ancient Greeks had a lot of that. They had a lot of that right, because they were very into their martial arts training as well. They were very into physical training. And if you train physically extremely hard, the animal side of your nature actually becomes exhausted. I train pretty much every day, not because I want to all the time, but because it keeps me sane. It keeps there is a side of my nature that then just calms right down. So I think, what was the question?
What was the question about aggression, whether we are innately aggressive creatures, as human beings, whether we are.
I think
it
so.
is an innate part of us. I mean, it's like that story that guy you interviewed, his name I can't remember,
Tony Blauer, yeah.
Was talking about when he was training women in self-defense. Remember in that story that he was telling that they wouldn't necessarily get all riled up unless they thought their children were in danger, and then they were screaming and the veins were popping in their necks.
Yeah.